Hey there, my name's Mark Savell. I'm a realtor with Sage Real Estate and a blogger over at TorontoLivings.com. And in my last video, I took a deep dive look into pets and rentals and what a landlord's responsibilities are and what tenant rights are on this matter. And I got a lot of really good feedback. I think people were kind of surprised to see the way the rules were written and get a better understanding of what it is they could or couldn't do. So in keeping with that theme, I want to now focus on what a landlord must do to move back into their property. Because believe it or not, after September 1st, 2017, you now have to compensate your tenant to move back into your house. I'll explain. Alright, so this is your first time checking out the channel. We primarily talk about real estate in Toronto. And in this video, we're going to focus on the process and what a landlord must know and do to move back into their own house. And we're going to start with a pretty basic example. So let's say you have a property and the tenant is on a month-to-month basis. As a landlord, you have to give them 60 days notice to move back into your home. That's pretty standard, nothing's really changed there. However, after September 1st, 2017, you also have to compensate them. You have to pay them either 1 month of rent to move back into your house or find them another property acceptable to them. And good luck with that. I think the quicker of the two options is just to pay them the 1 month. It's just a lot quicker and a lot easier. Now, when I first heard about this rule change, I thought, what? This doesn't make sense. I have to pay a tenant if I and my family decide to move back into our rental property. Like, I've given them the 60 days notice, I've followed the letter of the law, and I still have to compensate them. It didn't really sit well, but being in the real estate industry, I kind of see the bigger picture and I understand why this change came to be. Because you see, what a lot of landlords were doing in the past is they were using the excuse of, oh, I'm going to move a family member in to quickly evict a tenant and then a few months later relist at a higher price to effectively get more rent. Well, the government's caught up to this little loophole and they've done a pretty good job closing it. So in addition to just having to compensate them or finding them a new place, you now also have to be able to prove that you're going to be living in that place for at least a year. So essentially the way the Landlord Tenant Board structures the changes is it's got to be a move in good faith. So if you're trying to move in there for a couple months and then your plan is to put it back up the market, probably won't fly. Secondly, they also very clearly define who can move back into the property. They don't want you moving a sibling in or, your brother's friend's mother's cousin. It's got to be an immediate family member, so either your spouse or your children or a caregiver. It can't be an extended family member. Now, if you're a landlord and you're thinking, well, let me try my luck. I mean, am I really going to get caught? What's the worst that can happen? Take it from me, it's no slap on the wrist. It's a pretty big fine. The Landlord Tenant Board can do one of four things. They could fine the landlord a specified sum to the tenant for all or any portion of any increased rent that the former tenant has incurred or will incur for a 1-year period after vacating the rental unit. They can also fine a reasonable out-of-pocket moving, storage, or any other expense that the former tenant has incurred or will occur. Or they can fine them an abatement of rent. And lastly, and probably the harshest of them all, they can fine the landlord an administrative amount not exceeding the greater of $25,000 and the monetary jurisdiction of the small claims court or any other order that the Landlord Tenant Board considers appropriate. So as I said, this is no slap on the wrist. This is a pretty big deal that if you're caught, not properly or not moving in good faith, they can come down on you pretty hard. So in summary, if you're a landlord looking to move back into your property, prepare to pay your tenant either 1 month rent or find them a comparable place to live, and make sure your plans are at least a year and you're only moving in an immediate family member, not an extended cousin, friend, etc., etc. If you have any other questions on the topic, leave them in the comments below. I will do my best to answer them. And if you haven't yet, please hit subscribe. Thanks for watching.